We are now in part 2 of Unit 5, PINM, People and Information Asset Management. We begin with the processes in PINM. The question to begin with is, how do we manage important information? Information categorization, content restrictions, data tagging and user rights management, data traceability, and policies. What that means is the best PINM result is achieved by a combination of policies, management of user rights, data tagging, and traceability. These also imply connections with the cloud services. So how do we manage important information? In the present day, most productive employees have three demands to drive their productivity, which are access to information, flexibility in access at any time and any place, and access even on their own computer devices, which is the BYOD, bring your own device concept. Therefore, PINM is about the management of important information. The PINM processes and activities can be divided into four main steps. First, categorizing the information versus based on the content restrictions. Then data tagging and user rights management. Third, data traceability. And fourth, the policies. We look at the content restrictions concept. The first step in PINM is information categorization and content restrictions. On the left, we see the definition of important information in categorization as part of the content. And the right side, we have who can access what type of content, how, when, and where. Therefore, what this tells us is the first step in a PINM program is to point out what information should be managed as important. This may differ from organization to organization, meaning the important data and information, and it involves a categorization of the valuable information such as sales data, HR data, etc. This first step serves as a foundation for the successive definition of user rights and the policy setting. A policy could be, for example, only HR people can access important HR data, sales data cannot be shared in any form, and so on. The questions to ask here, therefore, would be the following. Which information is important or valuable to the company? How do they categorize information? Who can access which information? How they can access the information? And how can they manage this information safely and effectively? This step one often involves people from various departments such as finance, sales, development, HR, and management in order to identify the important information within each area and to point out how combination of the information can lead to important corporate information. When the valuable information has been identified and categorized, the next step is to plan how to manage this information. Here we see more on the content restrictions. This can be linked to both users, data, folders, and documents. Restriction questions are about who can access, who can read, edit, etc. How much is the allowed reading time, allowed copying and attaching or not, allowed forwarding, and so on. Therefore, organization needs to manage how everyone in the organization accesses and uses information and at the same time supports productivity as well. The key focus in PINM, therefore, is to ensure that end users do not notice restrictions, but only access the right information. Information should flow easily to the right people when they need it and keep irrelevant people out. Restrictions should be applied on the level of data, folders, and documents. Then the next step is data tagging, which can be addressed at two levels. One level is data tagging and management of the user rights, which is done manually. And then the second one would be automatic. So in the manual level one, data tagging and management, we have the following. Categorization of data and then restricting access. Categorization is about categorizing important information and saved in a category-based folders. Restricting access means people and groups are manually added to the relevant folders for access rights, while others cannot access the information. Because this process to some extent is driven manually, it requires clear policies and consistent procedures in order to avoid errors. So level one or manual is the most common procedure, but it also represents risks in terms of consistency as the IT department manually adds people to folders and information for allowing access to them. Therefore, this is often based on subjective decisions. Maybe one IT administrator has one opinion about a person's rights to access information, and another IT admin has another option. Therefore, the error rate here is quite high. When we look at automatic data tagging or level 2 data tagging and management of user rights, in this case, the important information is tagged technologically, automatically, therefore, and categorized. User rights are activated whenever a person tries to access any information, and these processes are logged, ensuring security that is consistent and up to date. Though this approach is more demanding in the beginning than the manual one, because it requires IT development and tagging, the benefits are consistency and minor error rates.